This is Jose from Home and Pigeon Raises. I just got these pigeons, and this bird's drinking water. It's banded from Cuba. It's a Cuban pigeon. I got her from a friend who I gave the bird to her. I gave him the bird, and he's no longer able to keep him, so I got it back. So there she is. She's my little Cuban bird, and I hadn't had pigeons for about a year, so I'm really happy to have pigeons again. The droppings are a little bit dark, so I'm gonna go ahead and I put some apple cider vinegar in the water. I'm gonna do that for about 2 to 3 days to see if it helps improve. They're really natural where they were at, so I don't want to push anything too heavy on them. But there she is, my little Cuban bird, and this is the bird she came with. This is a cock bird, and so here's the bird she came with. It's 2007 Naples 2007. They've already been together. They've made a few babies, so I'm gonna leave them as a pair. The first thing that I noticed is that he slept over here, and his droppings are dark. So he's got coccidiosis, which is not surprising because it rained yesterday and he got rained on when I was bringing him over here. And apart from the rain, he's a 2007 bird. He's old. Birds here in Florida don't live that long usually because of the heat. So he's an old bird, you know, an older bird. So I'm not surprised he's got that going on. That's why I put a little bit of apple cider vinegar in the water to help with that coccidiosis he's got going on. So overall, I'm starting out with birds that are, and like I said, I just started up again, and these are the 2 birds I got. So if you're new at pigeon racing, I'm gonna go through the whole process with this pair of birds so you guys can have an idea of what it's like to start out. So although I've had pigeons before, we're starting out. So there she is. Let's just not put water out there. Gotta put that in the corner so they figure out how the water works. Her droppings are a little bit better, but she is a younger bird. She's a little bit younger, so her droppings will be better. What I'm gonna do on the bottom is I'm gonna buy a animal pet sand and put it on the bottom. I see the powder guys do it, and I think it's a really good idea. So in the next few days, I'm gonna go buy a bag of sand and just throw it on the bottom, and that's gonna keep all the droppings from sticking to their feet and all that, you know, like right there, she's walking over it. So in the next few days, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go buy some sand and put it on the floor. The guys that race pigeon powder pigeons, they do that, and I think it's a good idea. So I do have sand here, but it's not really good sand, so I'm not gonna use it. So there she is. She's a beautiful bird. Now she's banded Cuba. Let's see if I can zoom in a little. Her band says Cuba on it, and I know she's a real Cuban bird because I personally got her from the conservancy on a day where we had direct south winds, and there were other Cuban birds that were found that day. The other Cuban bird that I got the same exact day that I got her, it's up in Wisconsin right now. It was a grizzle and her. So I'm gonna go ahead and feed them and give them some grit. I'm not going to feed them a whole lot. I'm going to go ahead and feed them, and I'm not going to feed them a whole lot. I'm going to keep the amount of food they eat down. He does have coccidiosis. The person who gave me the birds didn't have grit, so they need grit. So I'm going to find some type of container and put out food and grit, and that's the first day, you know. I'm going to give them apple cider vinegar in the water for a few days, and hopefully that improves. Feed them a little bit less. They were really full when I got them, and even though they're close to starving, they were full, which means that even though they were eating a lot, they weren't processing all of it because they didn't have enough grit, or who knows what was going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and feed them, give them grit, and I'm gonna feed them a little bit. I'm not gonna feed them too much. Like I said, the person who had it was feeding them a whole lot more food than what they should have had. And even though they're full in the crop, there was nothing to them. They're skinny, so they're obviously, even though they're eating a lot, they weren't processing it properly. So they're gonna go for the grit because they hadn't had grit in so long, you know, and they need grit. The little rocks help in the digesting process. So that's probably why, even though they were eating, they weren't really getting any nutrition from it, because they weren't processing it right. So definitely they're going to pick at the grits just as much as the food. And even though they're both really skinny right now, like I said, it's just created from, you know, improper care. They don't have any, even though they're skinny, they don't really have any desire to eat. See how they're not really interested in the food? Well, I'm gonna get them hungry. In 3 to 4 days, when I bring the food out here, they're gonna be so hungry they're gonna eat it out of my hand, and it's for their own good. They were eating a lot and they were just crapping it out. So we're going to feed them properly and feed them a little bit less. And in 3 to 4 days they'll be eating out of my hand. You can tell they're a little bit nervous because I'm here. So that's not really helping, but if they're hungry, they're going to eat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take away the food, let them pick at it for a little bit, and then I'll take it away. You know, it's a recovery process from where they are now to where they need to be. You know, they were not only were they, you know, for racing pigeons, where a racing pigeon needs to be, and the fact that they got rained on yesterday. I mean, I brought them in this cage and there's like a huge storm, but so, you know, they have to recover a little bit. You know, they got rained on. The stress of moving. The cages they were in were kind of smaller. This is a little bit bigger. So they're beautiful pigeons. And that's really cool. He's a 2007 Naples bird. Really old Naples bird. I gotta find out where he's from, but there aren't too many birds from Naples that old around, so hopefully it's out of the stuff that's proven to be good locally. And he's old. He's not gonna look. His plumage isn't that great. I'll start giving him saltwater baths. You can buy salt water for pigeons, and they can bathe in. You start giving them bath water and give them better nutrition, a lot of grits, a lot of vitamins and electrolytes. They'll get better plumage. And he's an old bird. There's only so much he's going to process. He's going to progress towards improvement. See, his mouth is kind of open. He hasn't found the water yet. He hasn't figured out the water situation yet. It's kind of weird. His waddle's like double. I've never seen that. He's got respiratory too. I'm not going to start right away giving them tetracycline and all that stuff, you know. They're going to have to go through some medication, but they're not going to start right away. You can see her wings at the bottom, how they're kind of like flapping down. You can tell she's not in good shape. Her wings are kind of hanging. So even though she's got good plumage, you can tell she's kind of skinny or weak, you could say. Not really where she needs to be. I'm gonna have to make this video in Spanish too. So there they are. These are my racing pigeons that I'm starting to recover. Try to get them where I like them to be. This is a little enclosure where I got them. It's not great, but it's for 2 pigeons. It's enough space. So we'll see how everything goes. If you're not subscribed to this channel, subscribe. And you know, we try to make good videos, you know. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And I'm gonna try with these 2 pigeons that I got here, kind of show you guys what it's all about. Like you said, today you learn a little bit. If you're new and you're just learning this stuff, you put some apple cider in the water. You put some apple cider vinegar in the water. You know, if they got dark droppings like that they've got probably coccidiosis, so you need to start giving them apple cider vinegar. Like I said, I'm not going to medicate yet because they just got here. They're stressed out. This is a new surrounding for them. They got to get used to the smells, the sounds, the looks. So they're going to be stressed out because I just moved them over here. They'll take some time to adapt. But the good thing is that they know each other, and that kind of comforts them that they know each other and they're together, I think, right? So I'm not going to medicate them yet. Just give them some apple cider vinegar in the water. Definitely got to have grit. Without the grit, if you live in a country where you can't access grit, you can go to, like, just find rocks and crush them, and they'll know what to pick at. The birds gotta have grit, otherwise they eat a lot and they don't process any of it. Like these birds, when they came here, they were full, and even though they were full, look at how skinny they are. So he still hasn't found the water. But that's what's up. Thanks for watching the video. The more important detail is, another reason why he could have coccidiosis is because the cage that they were in was getting rained on. This has a pretty good overhang all the way around it, so unless it rains vertically, they'll get wet. But we've got some trees over here which will stop vertical water flow, so the water here comes straight down. This is plywood covered like an outdoor, some type of outdoor carpet, so the water hits, it doesn't splash off, it kind of absorbs it and then it drips down. You do not want pigeons getting rained on. Water is a mortal enemy of pigeons, so you make sure when it rains that whole entire area stays dry. As soon as a pigeon gets rained on, immediately they've got coccidiosis, and whatever's going on, it'll just make it worse. So you make sure that where they sleep is dry and that the entire loft stays dry. We'll see how this roof works. If for any reason it's not enough, I'll add some extra roofing, some extra overhang to the roof, so that they're not getting rained on. Because like I said, water is a mortal enemy of pigeons. They have to be dry. If they are getting rained on with water, wet, moisture, it will immediately make them sick. So make sure you've got enough overhang on the roof so that when it rains, the water doesn't get to them. They've got an entire fence on the back. They've got trees all over the top, so the water shouldn't slide in vertically. The vertical water shouldn't hit them. It should all just kind of drip down to here and then off it. Good ventilation. We don't get snow here in Florida. It's really hot, so it's a good deal of ventilation. But yeah, you have to keep the loft dry. If the birds get wet for any reason, or if they get a draft of wind, that's also bad. Now I talked to a gentleman up in Alabama when I visited him. He's a professional bird breeder. He says if the cages are open like this, no, I was in Georgia, I'm sorry. When I went to Georgia, Tony Smith told me that he knows a lot about birds. He's into cocks and pigeons and all that. He knows all about birds. That if it's open like this, you don't get a draft because the air flows through it. But whatever, I mean, it's good ventilation. The sunlight comes in like this in the morning, so they get the sunlight in the morning. But for the rest of the day, they don't get sunlight, so they get sunlight early in the morning. So keep it dry, keep the water away from everything, and that's really important.